Well, I don't want to, I certainly don't want to give mixed messages or leave you with the wrong impression. The questions that were posed here and that I responded to had to do specifically with Bill C-30. And I described how we entered into the process, the fact that we had to bring some trust to the process, and that there was goodwill in the process on the part of both sides. Trust and goodwill, and the success that resulted from ensuring that we were an integral part of this collaborative process, because that's what it was, ensured that this would be successful, or as successful as we could make it. And that's why I come here certain that this will bring about the kinds of changes that First Nations have been seeking for a long, long time. I said 60 years, beyond 60 years, but 60 years is when government started making an effort to resolve these land matters. In terms of other issues, I mean, I'm in the role of the Assembly of First Nations in these other issues, and whether I'm satisfied that the government has treated us fairly in terms of addressing those issues, that's a different proposition here. That's an entirely different question. I mentioned matrimonial real property, right? The repeal of Section 67, fisheries, water, the United Nations Declaration on Indigenous Peoples, the current work to the related to the Organization of American States and the Declaration of Aboriginal Peoples in that regard. I could list a whole number of issues where I've been really disappointed and bothered by the approach taken by the government. First of all, the Assembly of First Nations is a legitimate political organization. It represents distinct peoples with rights that are unique to them. Right? We are as legitimate as you are, representing the BQ, as you are representing the NDP, as you do representing the Liberal Party, and as you do representing the government. We're not less than you, right? We shouldn't be treated less than you. We're important to Canada. Our issues are important to Canada. The fair and just resolution of our issues are important to Canada. And because we represent distinct peoples, right, with unique rights, that of interest to the land that are different from any other Canadian, you can't expect us to come here and do your bidding for you, or you, the government. You should trust that when we have something to say, that our position and our statements have just as much validity as your statements, your words, and your positions. We can't be treated any less than that. We've demonstrated that when we're treated with respect, with integrity, with appropriate goodwill, that we achieve success. But governments can't pick and choose on what issues they're going to treat us with respect. Right? It doesn't work that way. And that is why I was very concerned when there's a thought or a suggestion that the fact that we had asked to be last year, that was somehow demonstrating our lack of confidence in our work. How could that be? I mean, that was I couldn't come here and criticize our work, because it is ours. The outcome before you, or the piece of legislation before you, is direct result of our joint efforts. And so it's, I just wanted to make sure today that whatever I had to say didn't take away from this good work that went into this piece of legislation, because it is indeed good work, and it will bring about some real improvements, positive improvements to our communities. On other issues, I mean, I'm as I said, I'm so disappointed, right? I mean, I've committed myself to working with this government, making every effort to establish a good, respectful relationship with the government, and through the process of an effective, respectful relationship, convince them that our agenda should be theirs as well. And we shouldn't be treated as an afterthought. Our views shouldn't be disregarded. We want to make a difference in the lives of the people I represent, and we have some huge challenges, and I have some very serious concerns about some of the issues where the interests of First Nations people have been completely disregarded. For example, the suggestion that we're against human rights of women. That's a complete fabrication. We are for the human rights for all of our people, right? And the suggestion that we wanted a three-year delay in this legislation. Pardon? Yeah, C-21 meant that we were not prepared to extend protection to the most vulnerable in our community. All we were trying to do there was make sure that our interests were treated the same as you treat your own interests. Because governments that have greater capacity than us, than we will ever have at this point, were given 3 years to ready them for the charter. When the charter came into force, we were offered 3 years. 6 months. And so when we pushed for greater time, I mean, we were accused of undermining the human rights of women. That isn't so. That isn't so. I appear here before you deeply committed, as all of the people that I work with, to the human rights of all of our people. And think of this for a moment. There are approximately over 100 women chiefs in Canada. There are approximately 800 women councillors. Do you think those people are against the human rights of women? Of course not. Absolutely not.
Thank you, Chief Fontaine.